Well, we're back with the Aldi Portable Metal Cutting Bandsaw. Well, we will be shortly. I've been watching quite a few videos on YouTube by people who have produced vertical mounts for the Aldi bandsaw so that they can use it as a vertical metal cutting bandsaw. And I was quite intrigued by this and decided that I'd quite like to have this facility when I use my saw. So I set about making this. Now, I haven't filmed the construction of this purely because I've literally made it up as I went along. But we'll have a quick look at it and I'll show you what I did. Really, the only premise was that I didn't want to modify the Aldi bandsaw if in any way, shape, or form, if I could possibly avoid it, which I pretty much have managed to do. So let's have a look at this thing in close detail. The main spine here, this is 44mm square timber. And the only reason I use that was because I happen to have some lying around. It's two pieces glued together to make the main part of the spine, and then there's two more pieces down at the bottom which reinforce it, just make it the whole thing a lot more rigid. Let's move up a little bit. Then I used two more pieces at the top, same size as this. I drilled two 8mm clearance holes through here, bolted this to get these two pieces together with some space, some shim in between here and here, and then bored a 35mm hole through the middle, which makes the top clamp. So this just literally lifts off, and that will clamp around the forward handle on the bandsaw. Then down here, this slot here is designed to take the part of the handle where the trigger is, or just above it, and that fits snugly in there. And then this pin basically holds the whole thing back against this. And that's really all there is to the actual stand. And there's a bit of nice thick plywood for the base, as you can see there. And some electrical wiring, because obviously the bandsaw is originally trigger operated, so I've made a C clip which fits over the trigger, that holds it on permanently, and then I can control the saw from this NVR switch here on the front, and that really is all there is to it. So let's get the thing mounted, and you can see it in action. So the handle fits over the top like so, and then this bit just slots back into there like that. That's fairly straightforward, and then the clamp goes on the top like that with a couple of 8mm nuts. Now the nice thing about this clamping method is that it allows you, oh yeah, and then of course the pin, turn it around, pin simply slides through like that and locks it in place, and now it simply can't move. The nice thing about this top clamp is that before I do it up, I can actually use it to adjust the table. So simply just by pulling the handle across, you can level the table up, which is quite useful. So we're there now, so I'll just tighten those down. Just a couple of 8mm coach bolts for the clamp. There we go. So it's not actually going anywhere. Let me come back a bit. Yeah, once it's in place, you just simply plug the bandsaw flex into that socket at the back, and then you've got flex coming out of the NVR switch, which plugs into your main socket for power. As you can see, there are a couple of other additions. The table was simply a piece of 250mm by 250mm by 6mm mild steel plate. which I drilled a 20mm hole in the centre to take the blade and slotted it that way. I had to notch it out in a couple of places at the back to get it to go back, but that size seems to be a nice size for the table. And the other addition is now I wonder if anyone can guess what that is. I decided that like a lot of people who've done this, I didn't like the fact that there was no guard over the blade, certainly at the top. So if the blade breaks, you know, there's nothing really to stop it from coming off of the wheels. I don't have any welding facilities or anything, and a lot of people just welded up a guard for it. But I was looking at it the other day and measured it, and it's about 20 centimeters in diameter. I suddenly just I had a eureka moment, and this is a stainless steel cake tin. Cost me £4 on eBay. Or was it Amazon? Can't remember. And I've just modified it a little bit. I had to cut out a piece at the bottom here to clear the blade guard. And there's a couple of small strips of aluminium screwed on there and there. And this is the only modification I had to make to the actual bandsaw itself. I drilled and tapped some 6mm holes, one there, and that holds this in place quite firmly. But other than that, it's not been modified in any way, shape, or form. And you can quite easily leave the guard on. I'm sure it won't get in the way on the horizontal stand, or even if you wanted to use it freehand, you could still leave it on. There is a small metal plate which normally sits there. Oops, wrong way up. Sits like that on the bandsaw, and I simply remove that and use the countersunk fixing screws to hold the table in place. And yeah, that's really all there is to it. Right, let's see it in action. Okay, this is a bit of extruded aluminium, about millimetre thick. We'll start off with a bit of that. No problem, other than the bit going down the hole. Well, it worked out okay. Right, let's try a little bit of, we got a bit of thin steel here. Again, no problem at all. We'll try a little bit of thick steel. This is probably about 4mm. Well, it takes longer, but it does it. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to be really useful for cutting sheet, which is the whole point of doing it, really. So, yeah, I think it's a successful build. And as I said, the nice thing about it is that I can simply very easily remove it from here, put it on the horizontal stand, or even use it freehand with no aggravation at all. But that's going to be very useful for cutting sheet. The vertical configuration, which is basically what I want it for. So anyway, very easy to do. I mainly use scrap wood for this. What bits of pieces that I had lying around, same with the bolts and that I used to put it all together. And cake tin. Cake tins are really useful. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this little video on the Aldi bandsaw. Another video on the Aldi bandsaw. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers.